episode 3?
Episode 3.
Can you believe it? We made it to 3 without getting canceled.
Yeah. The network hasn't even called us.
We just avoid the Netflix banhammer.
Yep.
Unlike Orange is the New Black, I might add, but you know, wow. I guess. Too soon, right? Too soon? I thought it was a planned ending for that one for 7 years, and it jumped the shark last year. Prison.
I think every show plans to end every season. I think that's the secret.
Yeah, maybe so.
Actually, that's funny. Later we'll get around to, you know, for this episode we wanted to give you guys kind of our deal, our backstory. You know, what got us here? What do we like? Why are we playing this Transformers card game? What the heck?
Yeah.
How do you end up here? And that actually made me think about it, because my introduction was Beast Wars back in the 90s, and you know, that was like, my mom liked the show, I liked the show, and Cheetor was my favorite robot ever.
Yeah.
And so, but that show, I watched like a whole bunch of stuff about it, and they were actually planning to end every season.
Right.
So they always ended it with, you know, like Optimus dying and a bunch of characters like up in the air. Yeah. And then they come back, he's like, wait, now he's alive. You promise.
A cliffhanger every year.
Yeah. Yep. Every time. How about you? How'd you get in?
See, I'm considerably older than Matt.
Yeah.
And so I was in from the very, you know, when these things first came out, and if you guys remember, I was alive during the whole GoBots Transformers thing.
Okay.
So my brother and I both had Transformers and GoBots. I don't remember which we had more of. I don't remember who had more of which ones. All I remember is that I was really, really pissed when he broke my Soundwave.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was my favorite.
I still feel like they've missed a huge opportunity in making a Soundwave that's actually a boombox that turns into a, you know, like an Osmo-sized robot, and then still plays music.
I mean, with today's technology, there's no reason why you could not rig up something that looked like a boombox that's really an MP3 player.
Right, yeah.
I mean, seriously.
It's all cosmetic. It's just plastic.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I would buy it because of the nostalgic value.
I would buy it to carry around a boombox that I could turn into a robot. That would, and I would do that at the least opportune moments in public.
Could you still start playing the music from his robot?
That's what I would hope.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I didn't know if they
Okay. So would he be a boombox that turns into a Mercedes, or a boombox that turns into a robot?
I feel like the robot.
Yeah, you gotta have a robot form, right?
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah, because you have bot mode and you have alt mode.
Yeah. And they could sell an MP3 player that turns into a bird, you know, whatever.
The tapes, dude, the tapes. Oh, and so that's what I honestly think that we're gonna get
Soundwave
and tapes.
Yeah, because we're getting Metroplex and probably
the constituent pieces of Metroplex are in that box, right?
Yeah.
And that's what, 3 weeks away now?
Right.
Closer to a month, but still, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But still, we will get Metroplex with the three robots that made him up. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that was 80s.
Okay.
So we were collecting GoBots and Transformers.
The ground floor.
Yes. Soundwave was my favorite. Optimus Prime was, of course, my brother's favorite. And it was fun. And the guys, as soon as they get this, they're going to hear me say turn the TV down, because we can actually hear it all the way back here. And they will,
Yeah, that's fine.
We run a game shop. I run a game shop. He basically runs the game shop because he's here all the time.
Yeah, I don't work here. I just live here.
And so we run his living room, and it's true, by the way. And that's why I'm here, right? Yeah, exactly. The problem, of course, Joe, is that we can hear you fine, and everybody else can hear you just fine, and we can even hear the TV just fine. So yeah, you guys hear, there you go. So
and so it's, I guess that was kind of the question, is, you know, since for our first episode, that's not, you know, just a deck tech, just a how are we playing the game, but like, why are we playing the game?
Exactly.
So far, I really like it. I've kind of been getting into. I've kind of gotten into a new card game like every fiscal quarter for like a year now.
Yeah.
Did Star Wars Destiny, did Dragoborn for a second. Did while you know they were still supporting it.
Right.
Did Ashes, which is
Ashes,
still technically coming out. But, yeah, it's like got into a lot of games like that, and it functions similarly where they don't really have resources, but they have the action economy.
Right.
And it's it's off of, in the case of like Star Wars, it's like a property that has a known quantity to it. This is the first one the Wizards has picked up. First one that,
It's Hasbro.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah, at least they don't have to pay somebody else
Right.
for the for the rights. They can just hand the check across the hallway.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. I like where they've gone with the different robots. I kind of wish there were fewer vanillas.
Yeah, like the one that I picked up, Inferno.
But, well, I mean, he's got the
Inferno has-
ability.
But I mean, bot mode he's got nothing, but the alt mode he does at least, you know.
Yeah, and they've done that with a couple of them. Like
We could say Ironhide.
yeah.
Nothing. There's nothing and nothing.
Yeah,
There you go.
and he gets like an upgrade that's specific, but he doesn't get an actual text.
Right.
So yeah, I think they left that open for higher rarities in the future, or even lower ones.
Mhm.
To kind of tweak those numbers and give you the actual, kind of like there's 3 Optimuses running around.
Right.
Um,
So would you rather have a 4/2 with 7 life?
Ironhide.
Oh, okay. Whatever you say.
Or
Or a 3/0 with 10 life that has when you get Pierce 2 when you flip 2 whites, and then you get 3/3 on the other side and a 3/0. Yeah, yeah. That's 2 6-star characters, by the way, Jazz and Ironhide.
right, and yeah, unfortunately I don't, because the Ironhide's from the starter deck, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think there's unfortunately not really a comparison right now, just because Jazz has that ability that just can be a better force field. And right now there's actually a poll going on. I think it's on Facebook of what is the best upgrade. And last time I checked, force field was winning by a landslide.
Yeah.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I actually think it's Energon Axe, but
Energon
I could
Axe.
be
We talked about that.
persuaded to grenade launcher, but I think force field's a little narrow, and I think there's a lot of answers to it. Like nothing answers grenade launcher.
Right. You just
It's out there
there's
for one
4.
turn. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, exactly. And if you get attacked and you do 5, then you've lost your big thing. But we talked about Energon Axe in like last episode.
Yeah, because we both run it, and I mean, but we both run a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. But you run all blue. Well,
Right.
for that one deck.
Right.
You run all blue.
Yeah, and just what's some stuff that you're excited about going forward with the game?
Going forward, I want to see. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Soundwave was my favorite character.
yeah, everybody's kind of had that as like, oh yeah, I really like the game. So where's my favorite Transformer?
Where's my favorite? Yeah, there's only 500 Transformers, so you're gonna have exactly right.
Right.
So what's the distribution? I haven't actually counted, but the distribution looks like it's 3-2, basically. Autobots versus Decepticons in this set.
I'm not 100% sure. I didn't actually look because they haven't restricted builds yet.
Right.
So
right, they haven't.
you can mix and match your Autobots and Decepticons. If you heard that here first, please go read the FAQ. Because the question still pops up all the time. It's very frequently asked.
I'm thinking it's actually closer to even. From
Yeah.
what I'm seeing here, it looks very even actually. It's
Yeah.
really close to being even.
And I think that's a good way to start off. I know that it initially sounded like there were going to be more Autobots, but I think that was just because of the starter
starter
deck
kit,
being 4 Autobots only.
Right. Yep. And if you're stacking your character cards alphabetically, then of course all the R's and S's basically are all Decepticons.
Yeah.
So-
All the Seekers are actually right next to each other. It's very convenient.
Yep. It's close. It really is. So going forward, I think I really hope we find more players for the game. right? So that's what I'm.
That's fair.
We've got so many collectors. We've sold a ton of this game here at the shop, and I would say of the guys that we know that said they were going to play the game and have bought boxes, we might have seen 5 of the 10
Right.
guys that have bought boxes. Of the 5 that we've seen have bought multiple boxes,
Yeah.
and so there's no shortage of product moving off the shelf, but I think it's being collected and not played.
Yeah, that's so far, and I know that another podcast was going over like I think it was Wreck and Roll was going over like how to build a community, you know, and it's hard. It's hard to get people to play a game.
Yeah.
And especially if they don't come from like a competitive like card playing background where their first thought is, okay, like I have these cards, where's the first tournament?
Right, and that's the thing too, is that everybody who's been conditioned to look for OP is wanting OP. You know, it's the first question out of their mouth. Where's the organized play? Where's my promo cards? Where's my this? Where's my that? And
Right.
there's League, right? And we have League, and we started League, and the guys who bought in like hardcore like me. I don't need to play in a league that gets me 6 or 8 packs because I've already got everything.
Yeah.
Right? Why am I playing in a league now? Because that's for Wizards. That's great for Magic, because Magic League, there's no way you're going to collect a set of the size of Magic where you need 4 play sets, 4
Yeah.
to make a play set of everything, right? You're just not going to create that. Your play set is 1, and I think I'm missing 2 characters at this point now. I'm missing Bumblebee and RC.
Okay.
And I bought a box plus maybe 25 packs.
Right.
So almost 2 boxes, and I've been very fortunate in my pulls, and very fortunate in the fact that I haven't had a lot of dupes. And I know not everybody is that way, and I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
like me, I bought that box in the 18 packs like the very first day, and I had 3 dupes. You bought a box and had like 9 dupes.
Yeah. And I think a big part of it is it's easy for a player, like a new player, to get lost in the character being like the most important thing, because it's the biggest card, it's in the back of the pack, it's where you look when you're in card games. You look at the back and it's like, oh, okay, what did I get? And it's easy to get disappointed with that. But honestly, now I've gotten to the point where it's like, even though I'm still missing a ton of the rares, I'm missing like Scrapnel, Cosmos, like all the build around me guys.
Right.
Missing all those.
Oh wait,
and,
I'm missing Scrapnel too, so I guess I'm missing 3.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm missing all those, but every time, it's like you go for that rare and those uncommon battle cards where it's like I'm still missing a copy of Turbo Boosters, I'm still missing
I think
I got my 3rd Swarm like yesterday.
I think that I still have yet to get a single. What is that? Leadership. What's that?
Matrix of Leadership.
Matrix of Leadership.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty critical one in some decks.
Yeah. And so that's I'm contemplating buying some packs here because we finally just got restocked, and I'm contemplating buying some packs just to try and pull those rare battle cards.
Yeah, and I actually got one that I had forgotten existed. I didn't, and because I pulled my first copy of it, and I was like, wow, this is a card that I read when it was spoiled and completely just erased from my memory somehow. It was One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall.
Oh.
Which is, colorless, and it deals 3 damage to one of your characters, 3 damage to one of their characters,
Right.
and it's I think it'll actually see a lot of play in like the Optimus Battlefield Legend deck, because
because you can play an action out of the ones he flips.
Right, and your characters have 15 and 16 hit points, so you can spare 3, and they definitely can't.
Right.
that's just a dead dude on their side. So it's like and I've been kind of working with that deck to get an idea for it, and until I finally open Optimus someday. Help. But and so it's like I'd been thinking about the deck, and I just blanked on that card.
Yeah.
So there's still kind of, even though there's like, I think there's 82, 83 battle cards, or maybe just 80.
I don't remember.
I know it's in the
Something
80s.
like that, yeah.
Then there's still some mystery there as to
Right.
owning a playset of them. So I think it's easy to get lost in like the, oh man, I opened my 5th copy of this of Hound or something. It's like it's easy to get disappointed in that, but
Yeah.
the rest of the pack is usually quite good. And if you think about other card games, that's really all you get in the rest of the pack.
I think,
So
I think between Autobot, Hound, and I don't remember who the other one that I got.
for me, it's Flame War.
So many of.
That card chases me around.
Every time I turn around, it might be Starscream. One of the 2 iterations of Starscream, right? It's
or Barrage.
Barrage was it was the Starscream scheming second in command.
I mean,
That's the one.
at least it's a good common.
Yeah.
At least it's not vanilla. It's as
Yeah.
close to vanilla as you can get. It's got bold on one side, tough on the other.
Right.
Other than that, it's just a dude.
I think I opened the second Megatron living weapon that you benefited from. if I
Yeah.
remember right,
Yeah, I've been trying to work something with him in RC, but it's not quite
Not quite
gelling.
meshing, yeah.
Yeah, it's got third character syndrome. It needs
Something.
someone else to fill that role.
Right. So I don't remember what I had something else that I really was excited about, and I don't remember what that was. Like maybe I was thinking that maybe Constructicons were going to come, and it'd be kind of cool to see those.
Right. Yeah, I feel like
Beast Wars is what you're talking about. To see
yeah.
those, you know a set is coming that's just Beast Wars.
yeah, I'm sure the next one will be like either going into G2 or going into a heavier kind of Decepticon later in the season, with like Omega Supreme and
Right.
the oh gosh, what was his name? What was the one that was it the Constructicons formed? I can't remember.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember it either, but it's the Decepticon version of Metroplex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure they'll go somewhere,
Right.
there next, but
Right.
hopefully in a couple of sets we can see the Beasties come out. That'd be cool. I don't know how they would. That's probably when they would do the Autobot Decepticon divide, because they'll probably all have Beast as a tribal type.
Right.
And you can't release a whole set that benefits from tribal cards.
Right.
That'd be real bad.
It'd be tough, right? But hey,
Yeah.
bug. Sorry. I kind of feel like that next wave is going to also, we're going to see some Decepticon style starter decks.
Yeah.
Heavy on the Decepticons, so that it balances out a little bit. We'll see a split in Autobot versus Decepticon teams, which I like the idea of. That to me, that's a little bit more thematic about the game, is that when you're playing
Right.
Autobots versus Decepticons, and even though I'm playing, my primary deck is the Decepticon deck as it is, but I still think we're going to see that a team of Autobots obviously are still going to be able to stay together. Dinobots, Grimlock, Smash, they'll stay together, and so
Right.
it's just a matter of what the meta will bring. And I kind of like the idea of all these other Transformers, and I kind of got away from. So Beast Wars doesn't really mean anything to me, because I got into that middle ground where I went to college and I didn't really care about Transformers.
Sure.
And then I didn't pick it back up until Michael Bay decided to blow everything up.
Right.
And so then all of a sudden, but that brings you back to the old school Transformers.
Right.
There's old school Bumblebee and Optimus Prime, and
Yeah, for me, I made it all the way through Beast Wars, and then they got to Beast Machines, and I fell off because I didn't like the way they looked. It was kind of a divisive series for like
Right.
everybody, and I just couldn't. I stopped being into it, and
Right.
and I picked it back up, I think, during Energon. It was the one with the minicons.
Right.
And I later learned that the English dub of that was terrible, but I was 14, so I didn't notice. So I was like, and so there's a lot that I would love to see from that set too. I'd love to. Of course, I think the ultimate goal is the 25-point Unicron character. Hopefully someday.
Maybe.
We'll get something along those lines. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about with the game, because I think since they've only made 3 keywords, they've left a lot of design space open. Because really, the
Yeah.
keywords are just like there's Bold, which is basically
Bold, tough, Pierce. I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah, Pierce is, just guaranteed damage. Tough and Bold are both like reliably 0.75 of an attack or defense, unless
Right.
you skew your deck build like I did with Mono Blue, or like
Right. Right.
oh goodness, like Vector Sigma did with Bold. And so I think that there's, and I think that kind of simplistic design to start off with is a great way to start a card game, because if you look back at the really successful ones, like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, that's how they all started. They started with very very simple mechanics. Okay, this is what you do, this is how you build a deck, this is how you get into the game, and then we'll go into the crazy stuff. We'll start, Pokemon adding EXs and
GXs,
and
EXs,
Poke Tools and abilities, and Yu-Gi-Oh starting to add special summons of every kind, and then
So-
in Magic.
Grimlock, I think, I believe it has a foreshadowing into what we're going to see, which is a trample.
Yeah.
I mean, this is trample in Magic. Kill a character, do the extra damage to somebody else. So I think that'll become a keyword at some point in time for us, but I don't know for sure. It just seems like it will.
Yeah, and I don't know, because that's kind of where they've left it in a little bit of an interesting spot, where it's, I think we will see upgrades in the next set. Like, we'll either get more complex keywords or we'll get more complex upgrades, where it's less of like, oh, this guy gets Bold too, and more of like, okay, they get, maybe we'll even see ones that's like, hey, they get Bold 3, but they get -1 defense, something like that, like trade-off cards. So I think I really like that they left a lot of space open, because a lot of games like the ones that I had mentioned, they kind of ate up a lot of real estate right at the very beginning, and they're
Right.
like, okay, we got all this stuff going on, and now
They spent their design juices having to design around this massive
right.
group of mechanics, when really, you focus on something, you do it well, and then you gradually kind of expand them.
Right,
Expand a little bit.
because then when you add one, you add so much to the game. You add a whole new dimension every time you just add a word.
Right.
And instead of like, okay, yeah, we got 19 keywords and they all do extra abilities, and this guy has he has 10 by himself, and you just kind of have to remember because there's no room for reminder text anymore. And so I think they started off. I'm most excited that they started off in a really good design space.
Yeah, no, I agree. Did you have any questions from? I know we've got a Discord server that I haven't seen very much on. We've got a Facebook page that I've only seen a couple things on, and then Reddit. But
Right. Yeah, for those, like, our site's been kind of quiet, but I had one from the shop, which was, is somebody opened Grimlock, and they're like, wow, I got Grimlock. I don't have Dinobots.
I don't have Dinobots. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, and it kind of led to the question of, like, kind of an interesting design thing, so I figured we could bounce some stuff back and forth, and just see, is like, how would you build Grimlock if there weren't other Dinobots? Like,
How would you build Grimlock?
Yeah.
With no Dinobots.
Right, so you have 15 points left to work with.
We've got Grimlock, yes, a 10-point. Bold. One of your Dinobots gets Bold 3, by the way.
Yeah, so he...
Grimlock.
Grimlock Dinobot.
Grimlock Dinobot.
Grimlock count.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
he can give himself the Bold 3, so that does change.
Check the fact. That's the exact way it's worded.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the fact.
That was when everybody learned that actually the people who designed this game love this show.
Right. Obviously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. He's got plenty of health. He's got pretty average defense, and he's got a lot of attack.
Yeah.
He's a leader. He's a Dinobot. He's melee. So there's a few different ways that you could go about building him, and you've got plenty of points to work with.
Yeah.
15 leaves you a lot of open space. If you're one of us, then the instant answer is, well, you put Flame War and Thundercracker with him. But,
Of course it is, right?
I think we'll try to avoid at least one of those this time.
Flame War and Thundercracker. It just so happens that is 13 points.
Yeah.
Right, of the 15.
Yeah. See, then
you
we're
have.
wasting 2. That would just be a sin.
Exactly. Right. So that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, at least the combination is out. But yeah, so it's just kind of interesting. How would you go about that? Who's the first one that kind of jumps to mind of, like, who would I pair with Grimlock
For me,
Yep.
you know, I don't know is a good answer. I've always had this crazy fascination with Red Alert, even though he's blank. He's only 6 points, but he attacks for 5, and he's great if you can put some blue on him, right?
Okay.
And that's just because if I'm just gonna create a deck that is just kind of a non-thematic kind of deck, then we could do that. We could, I haven't really given it a ton of thought, to tell you the truth. But I mean, I don't know, maybe Chop Shop is only a 6 too. So,
Yeah, and he
but
lets you-
but he's
lets you-
Insecticon, right?
Yeah, I mean, he lets you move upgrades around. He lets
Yeah.
he's melee as well, so you get to kind of abuse that theme.
The melee theme, yeah. So I mean, there's, everybody bags on Autobot now, but there's always a possibility you play the leader thing and you go with Bumblebee.
Yeah,
You've got leader and melee, and he's only 6 stars.
Okay, and then you still have 9 left to
Yeah,
to work with.
Yeah, and you can like play with something else that's a little bit more meaty, I guess you could say.
Right, yeah, brings a little more to the table. And then Bumblebee has the tough one.
Right.
Yeah. So the first one that I thought of actually was the scheming second command Starscream.
Oh, okay.
Because, so yeah, honestly, the first character I thought of when I thought of Grimlock, I'm like, what works well with Grimlock? So it's like a lot of attack, a lot of bold, so you can abuse his trample ability. They throw out a guy who has 1 health, and you're like, fantastic. I'm gonna do 1 to him and 8 to somebody else,
Right.
and feel pretty good about your life. And so the first person I thought of was actually RC.
Oh, I don't have RC. See, that's why.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that in the context of the original question, it's a little unlikely that if you hadn't opened Sludge yet, that you had just happened to open RC already. but that was kind of the first one, and that still leaves you with like 10 more points
Right.
to work with, and she obviously RC appreciates having a ton of attack because it's all piercing, and I think they work well in tandem because she can chew through the high defense characters that would normally shut off his trample ability and make it less useful. Or he could also threaten them just as much as she can by going through a smaller character first.
Right.
And then going through that, my next thought was like, okay, so you go bold, right?
Yeah.
You put on a bunch of bold, and so that's where I came up with the second in command Starscream, because if you run
Bold one, and then the other guy's tough one. Yeah.
yeah, and he's got a ton of health, and the being 14. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have the actual card up. But it's mostly because of his special attachment is the Null Ray of Starscream. I want to say it is, and it's +1 attack on whoever, but it says if it's on Starscream, he gets bold 2.
Right.
And so like it's a way to get even more of the bold theme kind of rolling, and then you have a deck that has a ton of offensive pressure. And I think I think that's kind of a cool way to go about it. But that's kind of what I've been looking into, is like interesting ways to build characters that we haven't seen.
So that would it then stand that this could be? I wound up saying, hey, I'm going to put Bumblebee together with Wheeljack and play with the car synergy and the melee synergy and then a little bit of leader synergy.
Sure.
Maybe maybe I could build some actions around that. But what you're talking about kind of lends itself to a heavily orange weighted deck, and it's almost rush.
Yeah, it's a real aggro strategy. You probably include all the copies of Rollout and Matrix of Leadership that you can, because Grimlock's a leader, and
Grimlock is a leader. Grimlock lead.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool thing about him, that he can, because he works so well with having the orange-blue stack. Because since you want so much orange, you want a way to throw in blue with him. So I don't know. That was kind of a cool
idea.
Yeah. And another one you can go with is Jetfire, because he's also 10 points, and he lets you
Right.
Get back your armor and your utilities.
And he lets you use Flame War, so which is always always the
if you were looking
choice, right?
Right. If you were looking for a more defensive setup, because Grimlock's already got a lot of attack on his own, you'd run like Jetfire so you could keep bringing back Force Field.
Right.
Because that's kind of his shtick.
Right. Oh yeah, the utility.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it brings back an armor, so boom, Force Field, and now you're limited to 4 damage, and Grimlock's gonna hurt.
Yeah, armor and utility. Yep, sure enough.
Yep.
Bring it back out of your scrap pile.
Yep.
But you're flipping through cards so fast. Maybe you should. Either way, yeah. I like your idea.
Yeah, I like Jetfire a lot. I think he's kind of the Jet without a home for a moment. He's just trying to find a deck that fits with him, but it's one that's I just think he's missing the support that he needs right now.
Yeah, and Ramjet brings so much to the party.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, 14 hit points, 7 attack in Jet mode, even though he trades for having 0 defense. So if you're in a more defensive, setup, that would actually be pretty solid, in that you don't get the usual, oh, I'm just going to take whatever damage you throw at me. Instead, you get the promise of some defense, and then you'll flip all orange inevitably.
Of course.
But yeah, never trust triggers. They're going to show up at the wrong time.
Yep.
But you get to swing for 7, you get to swing for 6. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. But other than that, you could potentially just say, screw it and run it with Optimus.
Yeah.
And give up a couple of stars.
And just have two
really
two
melee,
guys.
2 leader, and you've got 2 really. That's kind of like the primes, sort of.
Right. And actually, another interesting one I just thought is you could run him with Flame War, RC, and Kickback.
It's completely possible.
Because I think Kickback is 5 points. I think that's the Insecticon that's 5 points.
Oh wow! So you run it with all 5. You run it 10, 5, 5, 5.
Yeah. And just to have all the characters. It doesn't matter if any of them are any good.
That's me.
It's just
That's right.
I have 3 nerds and Grimlock.
We're advocating meme decks 100% of the time, right here. You heard it here first, right?
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I mean you have what, 2 specialists? I think is Kickback melee. Do you have him up here somewhere?
Kickback.
One of cheap boxes.
Where is Kickback? You're gonna tell me that I'm missing? No, there he is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's also melee, so you have 2 specialists, 2 melee. You would never use his bot mode because it flips battle cards for each Insecticon, which is worthless. But when he deals damage to something, he repairs the damage off of himself. So it'd be kind of a pretty janky pick, but you would have 9 more hit points to work with. So it'd be a total of what? RC has 9, Flame War has 10, Dinobot has 12.
Right.
So it'd be 18 plus 12 is 30.
30.
So it'd be 40 hit points.
40.
Yeah,
Yep.
that'd be, it'd
That's
at least
pretty
be
good. That's a solid. That's a
I've
solid.
got 3
Yeah, it's,
Final Fantasy 6.
I think that's the same as the 4-card deck. So it's at least similar. I don't know if they have like 38 at the end or not. But yeah, so you get a lot of hit points and you have trample, and so that'd be something. But I guess the point here is that Grimlock is a good card.
Just by himself, exactly. You can put him together with a lot of different things, and it still works.
Yeah,
That's good.
Because Grimlock, Dinobot, Grimlock count.
That's
That's what makes it work. If it wasn't clarified in the fact, I probably would have played it the same way anyway, because he is a
fun game.
Dinobot.
The
After all.
creator.
yeah, and his ability works really well when you're trying to make a different Dinobot look like the threat.
And you don't.
You can flip him, give them bold 3, and suddenly they're getting hit by Snarl for 15. They're like, okay, well now we have to deal with this guy, and it's all over with the crying at that point.
Exactly, man. You get Swoop into the equation. Wait a second. What am I talking about?
Sludge. Well, it depends, because people have been kind of gravitating a bit more towards the specialist equipment, the multi-tool and the multi-mission gear. And so in that case, you want to run Swoop because he's a specialist, and so is Sledge. So then you can sort of cheat out some actions. So that's. Yeah, I like that right now there's a lot of ways to play all the Dinobots except for Slug.
Except for Slug.
Yeah.
Poor Slug.
He's vanilla, and they made him cost 1 point too many.
He's got a 6-0 and a 3-3, but yeah, he's 9.
Yeah, because 6 is very impressive, for attack. He's almost Ramjet for 2 points less, which sounds great, but
Nothing.
yeah, he doesn't work with the one thing he's supposed to synergize with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ramjet 7014 and a 4214, right?
Yeah,
And 1 star less, 3313 and a 60.
yeah. So it was like
Yeah.
it technically should make sense if you think Ramjet's good, but it's
Yeah.
just there's so many cool like Dinobot things, and Slug doesn't get to do any of them.
And
Wandering.
well, maybe we'll get to it.
Yeah.
What else you got for? I think we've been we've been at it for much longer than our usual 30 minutes, but that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we can play next time.
Yeah, I think maybe next time we'll hit some gameplay if people want to see that.
If people come, and I think Ross is out in the studio audience, and he was we were absolutely talking about you, Ross,
Yeah.
earlier, the guys that buy a bunch of shit and don't play. So yeah, that's
Bring all the players down,
yeah.
or you get called out. Yeah. So
Fun stuff.
is that it for us today?
I think so.
All right.
All right.
Everybody.
Until next time.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll talk. We'll do some actual play next time.
Yeah.
Play Final Fantasy Advance 2. It was